Hi, it's Peter Schiff. It's Friday, September 17th, 2010. Well, today gold hit another record high. Silver also hit a new 52-week high, just about 30 cents shy of its high price from March of 2008. The dollar index was weaker again on the week, but not nearly as weak as it would have been had the Bank of Japan not aggressively intervened on Wednesday evening. The yen dropped over 3% as a result of massive intervention on the part of the Bank of Japan to prop up the ailing U.S. dollar. First of all, on the gold front, again, there was a lot of discussion over the week on television about why people are or are not buying gold. And it seems like the main reason that people who aren't buying gold try to ascribe to those of us who are as to why we're doing it, it's always about uncertainty. There's so much uncertainty out there, economic, political uncertainty, that because people don't know what to do, well, they're just buying gold. And that somehow when we can have a clearer picture of what's going to happen, that no one's going to want gold. Well, it's actually the opposite. I mean, I've been buying gold for 10 years now or more, and I'm not uncertain about anything. In fact, I'm buying gold because I'm certain that so many things are going to happen. I'm certain that the Federal Reserve will continue to debase our money, continue to create inflation. I'm certain other central banks around the world will also be irresponsible. I am certain that the U.S. government will continue to do the wrong thing, that they will continue to undermine our economy with taxes and regulation and spending that cause gold to rise. So it's not about uncertainty, it's about certainty. It's because I'm so certain of how bad things are going to be and how much inflation is going to be created. That's why I'm buying gold, and I'm sure a lot of other people are buying it for the same reason. Also on the bullish front for gold, Anglo Gold, which is I think the third or fourth largest gold mining company in the world, announced they would be raising about $1.5 billion so that they can buy back what remains of their hedge book. This again is bullish for gold because they have to go buy gold that was previously sold short. Also, I happen to notice that Alan Greenspan, the day after I recorded my Tuesday blog, he came out and he said that gold was the canary in the coal mine and that we should heed its warning. Well, maybe Alan Greenspan watches my video blog because I made the same analogy the day before he made his speech. Also, as far as the inflation outlook, I was surprised to read that there are actually companies out there that are so worried that prices are going to fall that they're actually buying insurance to protect themselves from falling prices. I read that PIMCO is underwriting 10-year insurance where the policy pays off if the CPI is lower in 10 years than it is today. I mean, I can't believe people would be so foolish as to want to buy this insurance. All I can think of is, how do I get in on the action? I mean, I want a piece of this. So if PIMCO needs anybody to help them, or if anybody out there wants to buy insurance against the falling CPI, especially over a 10-year period, look me up at Europac. I'd be happy to take the other side of that bet. On the Japanese yen intervention, it's interesting the way the media spins it, as if the Japanese are doing this for their own economy. They're not. They're doing it for our economy. The truth is, you've got all these companies in Japan that are exporting to America. Well, the problem is we're broke. The American customer can't afford those products. But instead of restructuring their businesses and selling to people who can afford, they take the easy way out, which is to lobby Japanese politicians to bail out American consumers by ripping off the average Japanese saver by destroying his purchasing power and giving it to Americans. This is not in the interest of Japan. It's not even in the long-term interest of the United States. I mean, it's like, they're acting as a drug pusher. In the short run, we get a fix, but in the long run, our addiction is even worsened. Now, I don't know how much more intervention the Japanese are going to do, but for their sake and ultimately ours, I hope they stop intervening. And what's very interesting about the politics is all week, all the focus was on China and its currency manipulation. Yet here's Japan manipulating its currency in precisely the same manner, yet not a peep out of our politicians. Nothing. Anyway, I also wanted to talk a little bit today about this new consumer protection agency that is being unveiled. I mean, the president announced today with a press conference, Elizabeth Warren is going to be the head of this new agency. Now, she's not officially the director because it looked like there might have been some problem getting her through Congress. So the president sidestepped the rules and instead of making her director, just appointed her to some position so that she can run this agency without having to get a congressional approval. But of course, the only thing that Americans need protection from is the government. We don't need another agency of so-called consumer protection, especially in financial services, because all this is going to do is run up the costs, the risks of dealing with consumers through the financial industry, whether it's the banks or maybe the brokerage firms. And the result of higher costs is going to mean higher prices and a diminished quality of service. So actually, who is going to suffer here? It's going to be the consumer. Meanwhile, we're going to get more regulation on American business, which is already strangling business. I mean, I can speak firsthand about all the regulation that already exists in the financial services industry, because I am dealing with it every day. It's only going to get worse. And in addition to making my business much less profitable and wasting my resources, one of the things that all the rules and regulations do is they take the fun out of business. Entrepreneurs like me, it's not all about money. I mean, we want to grow a business because we enjoy it. We get personal satisfaction out of doing a good job, out of growing a business, out of doing the right thing by our clients or our customers. But, if the government takes the joy out of it, if instead of joy we get frustration and we get anger because of all the crazy thing the government makes us do, or the things the government won't let us do that we know help our clients, but the government thinks that they know better, a lot of businesses will just throw in the towel. It's not worth the aggravation. And I think over the next several years, you're going to have many small business owners, entrepreneurs, just throw in the towel. Even though their businesses are still profitable, they're going to say, you know what, it's not worth the headaches anymore. I quit. They're going to sell their business. They're going to collapse their business. And you know who gets hurt? It's not the entrepreneur who can afford to retire. He'll play golf. He'll enjoy his life. You know who suffers? His employees and his customers or his clients, because they lose their jobs. They lose a business who is providing the goods or services that they wanted. But again, the government doesn't really care about that. All they care about is their own bureaucracy. Also, I mentioned something on an appearance on I think it was on CNBC the other day, about what I think is going on in the credit card industry and why the credit card companies have higher revenues. I think that most Americans have now borrowed so much money on their credit cards. They're so deeply in debt. They know that they're just going to default. They know they're not going to pay. They're so deep in a hole, they know they can't get out, so they want to go out with a bang. They want to borrow more and more money and spend it, because what's the difference? If you're going to go bankrupt owing $10,000, you might as well owe $100,000. You might as well borrow as much money as the credit card companies are foolish enough to lend you, because that's what's actually going on. Now, talking about fools, apparently there was a group of 300 economists who came out and urged the government to run bigger deficits, to resist the temptation to have any austerity or restraint, that we need to borrow and spend. We need more government workers. We need bigger deficits to get the economy going. Now, I actually debated one of these so-called economists today on Fox News. And, it's actually amazing that, I said that we shouldn't even call them economists. I mean, they're just Keynesians. I mean, Keynesians are to economists, what witch doctors are to medicine. But it's amazing that what they think is going to grow the economy is a big government. And this guy that I was debating actually said that, interest rates are cheap, so we should just go out and borrow all this money and take advantage of it and spend it on infrastructure or education or government programs, as if it's basically like saying, hey, they're giving the drugs away, so we ought to do them anyway. I mean, first of all, it's cheap now, but the government isn't borrowing, issuing 30-year bonds. It's issuing T-bills. What happens when rates go up? Meanwhile, we got to pay this money back. It's not free. So what are we sacrificing when we have to pay it back? And of course, the money that we're using to fund the growth of government is money we're not using to fund the growth of the economy. It's amazing how these Keynesians still can't figure this out. And of course, this guy is still trying to rewrite history, saying that, the reason we're in so much trouble was because we followed all the free market policies of George Bush. What free market policies? He was as big a Keynesian as Obama, or maybe almost. Obama is following in his footsteps. Anyway, one last thing I wanted to mention, that this week we went over 30,000 YouTube subscribers on my channel. I think we need a lot more. So if you're a subscriber to this YouTube channel, let's see what you can do over the weekend. Email your friends, put something up on Facebook, tweet something. Let's see if we can get 50,000 subscribers to the Schiff Report on my YouTube channel. Have a great weekend, everybody, and take care.